You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Welcome to your weekly dose of NXT. This is your NXT audio update for Wednesday, August 10th, 2016. My name is Arya. Thank you for listening. Before getting going, I want to say that I will be at Boston Comic Con this Saturday. So if you see a fat person wearing a Bayley shirt, come up and say hey. And if it turns out that it wasn't me, well, go up to the second person you see in a Bayley shirt and say hey. Chances are that one might be me. But anyway, on to the show. Actually, right before the show began, Bobby Roode was coming out of Mr. Regal's office. They shook hands and went their separate ways before Roode rubbed his hands together and said this would be great. Fast forward to the other side of the credits, and Mr. Regal was standing mid-ring to oversee a contract signing between Asuka and Bayley before their match a week from Saturday at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Bayley brought up the fact that she has faced every woman that has walked through the door for the last 3.5 years, and that she was always the underdog until last year when she won the title in Brooklyn. She said if Brooklyn was a dream, Dallas was a nightmare. She was not prepared for how tough Dallas would be, but she is prepared now, saying that the Asuka mystique is gone, and she plans on winning the belt back in Brooklyn. Asuka told her that she did not have what it takes to win. However, she respects Bayley and stuck her hand out for a handshake. Bayley refused to shake Asuka's hand, telling her instead to sign the contract and be ready for the fight of her life. After they signed, the two ladies went face to face. Asuka held up the 7 pounds of silver and purple before walking away. We then get our first match of the evening, the Authors of Pain versus Nailz and Ryzen. Now, a few things to point out. First of all, this is day 63 of the Authors of Pain on NXT, and it is day 63 of the Authors of Pain not having individual names. Also, the Nailz in this match is the complete opposite of Kevin Wacholtz. He was small, skinny, African American. I'm sure he never choked Vince McMahon over SummerSlam pay and then accused him of sexual harassment. And that joke took longer to write than this match took, as Ryzen got pinned with the combination leg sweep clothesline in less than a minute. The Authors of Pain were about to beat up Nailz some more when TM61 decided that they wanted to get beat up too. So they ran in for the save and then got killed to death by the Authors of Pain in a situation that did not even last as long as the match. Shinsuke Nakamura told Kathy Kelly that he is not hard to find, but he'll find Samoa Joe when he wants to. Andrade Cien Almas returned to NXT to do battle with Angelo Dawkins. Almas has only been on NXT twice before, and nobody really cared about him then either. Dawkins hasn't been around in a while, and is best remembered as being the guy that always wore 2 headbands and would be mocked for always wearing 2 headbands. Dawkins did this a 360-degree turn in midair while doing a corner splash to Almas. And despite being the heel, the fans were ever so slightly more into Dawkins, but Almas won with his hammerlock DDT. However, before, it's time to move on to the next segment, instead we get Glorious, the greatest theme in NXT history, led to the return of Bobby Roode to the NXT arena. Roode came out and applauded Almas, congratulating him on having the honor of facing Roode at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. Roode then mocked Almas by talking slowly because, Almas doesn't understand English. He told Almas that no one in the arena will be paying to see him. They are paying to see Bobby Roode. Austin Aries was talking to Mr. Regal about oranges, Yes, I'm completely serious when I say that. He then said that NXT TakeOver Brooklyn is not special because the greatest man who ever lived does not have a match. Mr. Eagle mockingly agreed with him and booked him in a match with No Way Jose. Billie Kay returns against Liv Morgan. Billie Kay is making a career off that time that she did a 3-minute job for Dana Brooke on SmackDown. Liv Morgan is back for the first time in a few months, causing Corey Graves to flip out about New Jersey. Both women look good in here, but have a long way to go. Morgan is very enthusiastic, which can be good, and Kay won her second match in a row with a big boot to the yap. They showed Rich Swann, Noam Dar, and the greatest wrestler ever, Jack Gallagher, sitting at ringside watching the matches. Tom Phillips and Corey Graves then talked about how the first round was still going on, despite the fact that they then showed highlights of Gargano versus Ciampa, which was in fact the last first round match of the tournament. Anywho, we went again backstage in Mr. Regal's office. You ever notice, you won't see Mr. Regal for weeks, and then all of a sudden there'll be that one show where he's on 5 times. This was that one show. Anywho, Mr. Regal put over Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa's match on the CWC before informing them that they will be challenging the Revival in Brooklyn for the NXT Tag Team Championship of the World of Florida. And then Gargano and Ciampa vowed to become champions. Ember Moon is debuting at TakeOver. I repeat again, she is not Rhino. Again, not Rhino. Gargano and Ciampa took on Tucker Knight and Patrick Clark. 1 year ago, Gargano and Ciampa debuted in NXT during the Dusty Rhodes Classic. 1 year ago, Patrick Clark was another annoying part of the incredibly annoying season of Tough Enough. This was more competitive than most squash matches. Tucker is a very fast man for being almost 300 pounds. And I think, given time, he could actually be pretty good. But the number one contenders picked up the win with their wacky running double boot. Mojo Rawley was backstage hyping himself up for the main event, saying he will bring the fight right to Samoa Joe. And that, of course, led to Samoa Joe versus Mojo Rawley. Mojo is angry about being laid out by Joe last week, so he charged at Joe to start the match. They exchanged headbutts on the floor, which neither man sold. And this is actually the most intense Mojo Rawley you've ever seen, at least for the first minute. And unfortunately for Mojo, this match went longer than a minute. As Joe beat him down and beat him down hard, Mojo did fire back and hit a full Nelson Slam at one point. However, he was purely at Joe's mercy. Joe screamed for Nakamura as he slapped on the Coquina clutch for the tap out. After the match, Joe put the clutch back on and screamed for Nakamura some more. So Shinsuke's music played, and Shinsuke took his good old time getting to the ring. In fact, it took Nakamura so long to walk to the ring that a dozen security guards ran by him, ran into the ring, and held back Joe. Nakamura then completely played Samoa Joe, mocking him and letting Joe freak out. And Joe was fighting to try to get through all these security guards holding him back to get to Nakamura, and Nakamura danced before taking Samoa Joe's nose from him, and then slapped him in the head before the show went off the air. And unfortunately, I don't think Nakamura gave Joe his nose back. But that's something we'll keep track of in the weeks to come. Well, I hate to cut and run here, but I did not have time to watch the CWC. But don't worry, I'll be back next week with that. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you again in 7 days.